Hi, I'm Rob McCurry from Edthena. Today we have Sunshine Sullivan from Houghton College, who's the department chair and professor at Houghton. How you doing today, Sunshine? Thanks for taking the time for us.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great. So today really we just wanted to talk about your program and your role at your program. So to start, I'd love to get just a background of yourself and a background of your role at Houghton.
Yeah, so I've been at Houghton for 13 years and I've been the department chair for 5. We are a small undergrad program with TESOL and the typical adolescence programs and inclusive childhood education program. And music education. And we started using Edthena about 5 years ago, I think. And it's gotten better every year. And I think we're at a point where now the department as a whole feels pretty comfortable. Even the new faculty that we just hired this year, they're starting to play with it and get more and more comfortable with it each time they're coaching someone. So.
Great. I'd love to kind of just jump right in here. And if you could give an example or story about a time in which you've seen benefits based on your teachers to be for using video. Do you have an example that you could share for us?
Yeah, so even just last year, we had a student who was in her practicum placement, and she was struggling with classroom management, figuring out the flow of the classroom, figuring out the flow of a lesson and how to really transact with the students.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though her mentors, her classroom and college mentors were giving her that feedback, pretty regularly, she was unable to really see that until the spring semester when our juniors use Edthena to analyze their own practice. And so during those assignments, I have them record the 10 to 15 minute lesson, a focus lesson, or them working at a center. And then I have them analyze their own teaching with our student teaching observation framework. And throughout that, she was able to start seeing some things. But when I went in and gave her feedback, I am able to give her feedback both on her teaching and her planning, but also on her reflection. And so I was able to push reply to some of her reflections and push a little bit further to problematize some of the observations she was positing. And then we would have a conversation afterward. She had a post-reflection. I assigned a post-reflection after hearing and reading through my feedback. And in that, she shared, I saw some of the things that my mentors were talking about for the first time, and then I saw more of it after getting the feedback from me. And so then this summer, I was able to work with her a bit more, and we used video again. And she sent a message like, I can't wait for you to see this lesson. It's so much better because of everything I learned over the spring. And she stopped by a couple of times this semester already. She student teaches next semester. She's like, I can't wait. I'm so glad we get to use Edthena again. It's going to help me make sure that I'm, I'm practicing the strategies I learned last year and over the summer. And so it's been a really encouraging tool for her and a lot of students. I know I also have a student teacher right now, and he's using it as a reserve for a lot of his portfolio development. And he's so he's so excited about, oh, wait till you see this lesson. And it's more than I'm asking for, but he is really using it and loves being able to share his lessons with other people and more coaches than just me as his college mentor. So.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing that story. That's awesome. It sounds like not only was the teacher able to kind of use the video to kind of self-reflect, but then that process of writing and annotating on the own video was also helpful as well. So that's a great example in the story. So appreciate sharing that. Next question I have for you is, one of the things that we always find can be difficult for programs when they start using Edthena is getting things organized and structured into the platform. And it seems like you guys have a great balance of getting things set up for, your entire program. So with that being said, can you talk about some of kind of the processes that you had set up for, your whole program to start using
Yeah.
Edthena?
So as we started, my touch person at Edthena was really proactive in helping me explore the different things.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty sure that he was able to see how much I was and was not doing, because every time I started feeling like, oh, I really should be doing more with Edthena, I'd get an email from him like, how are you reading my mind? And so he would meet with me with some regularity and say, hey, let's explore explorations. Let me walk you through how to use those. Let me help you with anything that I had questions about. Even with when we were able to start archiving things, he helped me see through that. And so I never felt unsupported. I knew if I had any question, I could go and talk to him. And he would always respond. And if he was going out of town, he would tell me ahead of time, like, listen, I'm going out of town, but here's the person you can talk to if you need anything. So that was great. So for the first couple years, it was primarily me and one other professor who the two of us decided, hey, we're using Edthena because it's awesome. And we were telling the whole department they need to start using it. But there was some hesitancy in adding that to their repertoire. And so I brainstormed with Dan, and he said, let's do a meeting with your whole department. And so he walked us through. He did a demo and had them try things, and really got them excited about it, and showed them something that I wasn't able to do somehow.
Yep.
And so from then on, we've been able to, it's not just me coming up with the ideas. Other people now are starting to say, hey, what if we used it this way? And so it's been really exciting. And even with the new faculty, they're starting to learn it, and they're like, hey, could I use it this way? Like, yeah, but you could use it however you want. And so it's exciting to see it's kind of growing in the department.
Yeah, it sounds like the growth is just kind of natural. And once people start using it, then they kind of can start coming up with their own ideas for using the platform. So that's also a great story. Really appreciate you sharing that in terms of how your faculty has started to use kind of this organic growth to grow Edthena throughout your entire program. Last question I have for you here is if a little bit of advice or recommendation. I'd love to hear some advice for someone who's pretty experienced with using video and using Edthena specifically. What advice would you give a professor who's just starting to use video and just starting to use Edthena? What would you say to them right when they're getting started?
Yeah, so the first thing I recommend is doing getting to know you exploration. It helps the students feel more comfortable with the platform, and helps them realize, hey, this isn't scary, and it can be fun to comment on each other's and see other people's use of it. And then the second time, when you create explorations, make sure that you have a time frame, a very small time frame, so maybe 10 to 15 minutes for a lesson segment to start with. So, and then a very specific framework. So maybe questioning, maybe ask them, look at how you're using questioning in your classroom, look at what types of questions and how are you responding to your students' responses, so that it's not this broad framework, be more narrowed. And that's for the students' benefit, but also for your benefit, because it's sustainable that way. And you can make sure that you're providing that feedback in a timely manner.
Mm-hmm. Great. That's great advice. Again, that's all the time we have for today. This is Sunshine Sullivan. She is the chair and professor at Houghton College. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate your time.
Yep. Have a good day.
Thank you. You as well. Bye.